Life in Rain World is brutal, stressful, and short. It's often painful and downright unfair. But it's also full of mystery and wonder. It's littered with 1,000 questions begging to be answered, threatening to be answered. After 25 hours of surviving in this merciless world, after 25 hours of alternating delight and extreme frustration, after transcending its cycles and escaping its cruel food chain, I am left awestruck at its brilliance. This is one of the best, most unique games I've ever encountered, but it's impossible to recommend to a general audience. Even on its easiest difficulty, you need a high tolerance for failure, defeat, senseless loss, feeling lost in a huge world, imprecise controls, and occasional infuriating camera behavior. You must have a love for exploration and discovery to enjoy this game. You must be patient. And you need to be somewhat decent at platforming challenges, or you will get stuck in a lot of places. If this describes you, Rain World will carve a nest in your heart and never leave you for as long as you live. It's a truly memorable experience. I didn't know these things when I started. I expected a platforming Metroidvania because that's what it looks like, and I didn't do much research beforehand. But that's not what Rain World is. There is platforming and a humongous map to explore if you survive. If you brave a hostile ecosystem that's constantly in motion, if you can venture far enough from shelter before the rains come. The rain. The overpowering rain. The inescapable cycle that always looms ahead and keeps the question in your mind at all times. Can I afford to go further? Or should I turn back? The rain, which obliterates the land and washes away any living thing that's caught under its apocalyptic downpour. Everything lives and dies of the whim of the wind. You're a slug cat pup, separated from its family and stranded in a brutal ecosystem. The slug cat is an omnivorous, nimble fellow. It can crawl, slide, jump, hold on to sheer walls, and handle rudimentary tools like stones, spears, and miscellaneous things. You won't get hurt from falling, especially if you roll into the fall, and learning to traverse the land quickly and efficiently will be a massive factor in your overall success. This is it. There are no traditional upgrades, no abilities to level up, other than your own mastery at navigating the world around you. The slug cat lands somewhere in the middle of the food chain, closer to the bottom than the top. Survival is simple. Find enough food to fill you up, find shelter to hibernate through the rain, rinse, and repeat. Simple, but far from easy. To survive, you'll have to deal with a world of hunters, prey, plant life, scavengers, and outright monsters. Each creature has a characteristic behavior. Not every creature will be hostile. Some can even be befriended when they feel like it. Every living thing is only trying to live, and your own success depends on how well you know this ecosystem, and whether you can get to shelter before the rain comes. You won't always make it. If you manage to fend for yourself and you venture far enough, you'll find other shelters. The slug cat is an excellent navigator, with the ability to recall a perfect map of the places it's visited. And there are so many places, so many tunnels and paths and alternative routes. You will get lost. You'll be overwhelmed. You won't know where to go. It's possible you'll spend hours traveling in the wrong direction. Fortunately, you're not entirely on your own. At the very start, a shifty little creature takes an interest in helping you, often pointing towards nearby shelter and food, and pushing you to go a certain way. You don't need to follow it. You don't need to do anything it says. There are several paths to the end of the game. Nothing stops you from going everywhere in the entirety of the world from the very start. Nothing but the Karma Gates. Ancient gates separate the major regions of this world, and each gate has a certain karma requirement for you to pass through. With each successful hibernation, your karma level will go up. If you die, and you will die, you'll respawn at your last used shelter, and your karma level will go down unless you took steps to shield you from it. The only criteria keeping you out of certain region is your own skill at surviving several times in a row. And a little bit of luck. Because let me tell you, Rain World is not fair, and death will not always be your fault. Predators don't have set patterns and animations. They are governed by individual AI, and each animation is procedurally generated, which means few interactions are scripted. Sometimes they'll be an unstoppable hunting machine. Sometimes they'll give you a good laugh when they derp out catastrophically. With enough experience, you can learn to deal with the great majority of threats, but enemies will have no problem lying in wait behind a room transition or a screen break. Particularly aggressive vultures will drop from the sky and snatch you before you can react to the telltale signs of their presence. Sometimes deadly monsters will swarm your path, and you'll simply have no option but wait, turn away, or brave impossible odds. The ever-present threat of the coming rain will force your hand one way or another. A playthrough with lots of exploration all the way to the end took me 25 hours across 115 rain cycles. After looking up a map of the overworld, it turns out I completely missed entire areas simply because I didn't happen to stumble upon them. On top of that, the game has meaningful replayability with 3 distinct difficulty levels that change lore and game mechanics, and if you're really into it, you can fart around in sandbox mode and arenas for however long you like. There's a rich, deep lore beneath the surface, and if you try to puzzle out its mysteries for yourself, you might spend the next 1,000 hours crawling through remote vents and scavenging shiny pearls in search for answers. Discovering how all these things work is the main joy of Rain World, so I decided to leave this video spoiler-free in case you're interested in making the journey yourself. It's a journey you absolutely do not expect when going in. This alien world is gargantuan and terrible. It gets twisted, it gets weird, it will surprise you many, many times. It is routinely wondrous. Well worth the trouble. If you don't want to play it, but you want to learn more, this isn't the last you'll see of Rain World in this channel. There is so much to this world, and we're going to dive deep.